This Hangout Air is live. All right. So my name is Pete. This is session 2 in Free the Demon Capital. We have our players again. We have Elios. Please say hi.
Hello.
All right. We have Aaron, the Blighted Zealot, playing Edward Brock.
Hello.
Okay. We have Chris playing Esprit.
Who?
And last but not least, Jessica, the up-and-coming Demon Lord. Safer.
Hello.
All right. So last we left, our characters had defeated Mentiac, had taken over his flame bearers, and his flame bearers, having lost the benefit, the purity of fire that Mentiac had offered them, had lost the flames that encompassed their skin, and had become these pale shadows of men, these ash men. We start back just days later. So some of the word of what has happened to Mentiac has traveled and has reached the ears of the other aspiring demon lords. Some putting fear in their hearts as they realize, shit, somebody can beat Mentiac? What happened to Mentiac? He got burnt out like the sun burnt, like he got hit by an atom bomb. So your dastardly deeds are spreading. But there is still the Pestilent Horde, which is the nightmare in the dark. The one thing that still thwarts our new rising rebellion or force under Cypher from getting the Great Stare to allow us to return to Venebus. So, setting the stage, we have these ragtag tents, pavilions, this sort of barren land. It's very dirt and rough and harsh. Food is cooked in these sort of pits in the ground in large pots. Nothing is clean. Nothing is precious or prestigious or pristine. The sky has this sort of green dust, wind, dark shadows that kind of flow through it, giving every day the feeling that it's almost night, and every night this sort of casting shadow that goes through past the moon base in the sky that lights the sky, casting shadows throughout the night. Otherwise, Cypher, we should start with you, because Cypher, you have people now. You have these ashmen who have bowed down before you to serve your desires or your needs, as you might lead them on as the next great demon lord of the lower lands.
Yes.
So you might want to think of like you might want them to call you. You might want to think if there's something you want to call your subjects. A lot of these other groups, like the Pestilent Horde, the Hounds, they all have these names like the Warriors. You're kind of like the team without a name right now. You're the team of those guys who beat Mentiac. What would you like to do with these people? So it's been a few days. So think about what you would like to say, do, organize, and let me know what you think.
Well, I know we need to take on the Pestilent Horde, because that seems like it was the next step toward becoming the Demon Lord. So I'd probably be seeing what I can do to get intel on where they are, or how we can go about taking them down next.
Certainly.
Ooh, intel.
While I think of a team name.
This session is about the milestone to turn the tide of the assault. This was a milestone that was instituted by Cruz's character. So, Esprit, you sound like the man for the job.
Yes.
Cypher, would you summon him? Obviously, he's always been your minion, so he can't be too far away.
No,
Or is
I'm
this
sure he's close.
Okay. Or is this something that Esprit that you would have proposed? Because you are a person who's also in a bit of a hurry.
Well,
or has a sense of urgency.
being obsequious, I would definitely make sure that it was 100% Cypher's idea. I may have just mouthed it. I may have just put it out in the open, but it was always her idea.
You know what? This discussion has led me to an idea.
And it was a fantastic
idea. And locate the Pestilent Horde.
She had a great idea, and I'm gonna pursue that.
Now,
Um,
only because it's funny, can you give me a roll? This sounds like an espionage thing.
yes.
I would just love to see if there was some kind of Chinese telephone that happened in this process.
So this was espionage.
I think so. Do you think there's a better strategy?
No, I'm pretty sure espionage would be it for sure. Would it be reason, or I think it'd be reason?
I do too.
Flat out.
Because you'd have the
Okay.
time and the resources, and you don't really have to hide. You could kind of think
Gotcha.
it through and do it carefully if you needed to.
Yeah. So I did have one success.
Okay.
However, I'm very conniving.
Yes.
So I'm gonna really make sure that I work the wording the way it needs to be, so that I get the right point across.
And the right point is what?
So so I didn't quite get that one, but I'm a devotee of espionage, and I've studied espionage, and I'm going to use that as well.
Certainly. You now have, what is your belief right now?
6.
Okay.
6. So yeah, this will be my second
Well,
Sure.
tag
uh,
used.
could I use the fact that I am disillusioned for him to re-roll
Of course.
his
Yeah,
fail
of course.
before we start using the belief?
Oh no, I wasn't
yeah.
going to use it. It was still another tag. It was my second tag.
Oh, never mind. I got
For
it.
it.
But
Using the 5.
you also said a great thing though too. I mean, the more he knows about your
Yes.
character, the more he could have also been like, hey, he's disillusioned anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so 2 successes.
Okay, so with 2 successes, what is the message that you want her to know? What's
That
you, the Ashman,
because of
tell
how
her, whisper to her while she's sleeping.
yeah, the Pestilent Horde, if I remember correctly, is more of a single entity with many arms.
Yeah.
They're more of a hive mind. So because of that, espionage is going to be a little bit more difficult. We're going to have a solid battle plan because of how in sync and in unison they are. For that, I don't want to rush into anything.
Giving you some more information because you had a double success. You also know things like if they are a hive mind, it makes them very strong in some ways that normally aren't strengths. Like if you don't eradicate them, you don't necessarily hurt them because you may get rid of some, but if they're just pieces to the puzzle,
Yeah.
it's like a fire.
Yeah.
It still burns. If you get rid of
Right.
1/4 of the fire, it may be just as dangerous.
Now, do they have like a central point?
That you don't know.
Okay. Okay.
But that you may find
So
out.
that's yes, it's definitely something we'd want to find out. Yeah, I know that sometimes a hive is coordinated because of a single thing, and then sometimes the hive is spread across many minds.
Yeah.
They just have a strength.
So that's something we may want to spend more resources trying to figure out, because if we can find that keystone to collapse the arch, if there is a keystone
If
at
there
all.
is a keystone. So, sorry,
Yeah.
as we've interrupted with your thought bubble, what does she need to know?
That we're going to want to make sure we take our time, and that we expend as much time as we can learning as much as we can about the Pestilent Horde.
Okay.
Whether that's by going to other armies that have been beaten by them and scouting them out, or something like that.
Excellent. So at this time, Aaron and Josh, why don't we have you enter Cypher's tent? Because she needs someone to tell her plan to. I still look at it like you're in a tent. So you just correct me when you think, no, I'm not in a tent anymore.
Tent's probably okay since it doesn't seem like there are any like real sturdy. There's no fortress here for me to take hold of.
No,
So,
Mentiak had like he sat on like like stone pillars and stuff. It's outdoors. It doesn't do you much good.
I mean, to us it's a tent, but now she has subjects and she's the ruler of.
It is my castle. It's just
It's just got a wooden sign outside.
The illusion is real.
The castle of the conqueror.
Cypher, so you're in your elaborate tent, which may have been remodeled by your, servants, if you wish.
Ooh, it's very nice looking tent.
And the revered generals of your army, at least that's what how the Ashmen look at them, have arrived. The fallen angel and the blighted zealot, the two warlords who obviously, were able to defeat Mentiak in hand-to-hand combat.
My most powerful of minions. I have come up with a plan, an idea of how we must take on the Pestilent Horde. Esprit, I'm going to need you to go and get more intel on their location. We'll want to make sure we take them all out at once, otherwise it won't be successful.
Yes.
Choose either Edward or Velios to go with you. I need backup in case things go wrong.
I like too. That's so great. Like on one hand, you see like the perfect angel, just lightly dirtied and stained, but and then on the other hand, you see the person battling their own inner demons, stoic, but yet with a morphing black energy about them.
Well, one of them definitely has a blight suit that I am very intrigued with.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take Edward.
All right. So that means, Velios, you will stay with me, and we will plan our attack, how we're going to go forth and organize everything.
Sounds great.
Excellent. What I'm interested in, first of all, is what that means for Velios.
Yeah.
Velios, what do you do in that sort of situation? How do you come about a plan or go about whatever you're going to do? What would be your approach?
That's an excellent question.
In your previous vision role, you did talk about inspiring troops.
Yeah, probably. Maybe I would do some kind of training with them, her other minions. Maybe try to do a battle plan, like some kind of. I don't know. It's
Okay. And Cypher, is there anything that you would do to try to come up with a plan?
I will continue delegating all these important tasks until a better idea comes along.
Certainly. Okay. So, Josh, let's give you a role. Would you like to inspire the troops, or would you like to train the troops using something like battle plan?
I have a feeling they're probably okay at fighting right now.
Okay.
They're under Mentiak, so probably inspiring them more because they had, I don't know, maybe they're still a little demoralized from losing their other, I don't know. Yeah, probably more inspiration.
Sure. Obviously, it sounds like your character doesn't know exactly maybe what to inspire them with or about. So it's maybe imagine, right? So why don't you roll imagine and inspiration, and let's kind of get an idea of how that goes.
Okay.
And then Aaron and Chris, think about where you're going, because that's where we're going next.
So I think you mentioned the wolves and the warriors.
Yeah. Well, the Warriors
assuming...
was just joking because of the popularity. But the Hounds is a thing.
The Hounds. Okay. And I'm assuming that they were an army that either Mentiak or the Pestilence Horde have more or less relegated.
Yeah, I mean, you do know the lay of the, everyone knows the lay of the land is that these were kind of like the last two great powers. It doesn't mean that there isn't, you know, maybe mercenaries to hire or, you know, leaders to cherry pick or something. But yeah, most of them are kind of either beaten back enough that they're not real players or they're kind of removed from the situation.
Would I be able to figure out
Vying in the
who,
shadows.
right? Would I be able to figure out the last army that the Pestilence Horde had crushed or beaten?
Sure. Because it's funny. I feel like I set you up at this point. It is the Hounds.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so I'm gonna take Eddie and we're gonna go to the Hounds camp.
Excellent.
Under the Vorpal cloak.
Under the Vorpal cloak.
Yeah. Right.
So, Josh, how did you do?
I failed, but
Okay.
I think I'm gonna use my myth tag.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah, because you are a myth in their eyes, right?
Yeah, they're looking at me like, what is this? He is trying to, like, he came out of nowhere, help destroy Mentiok, and he is some being that we've never seen anything like. Everything's so dark and twisted, and it just like it's, you know, angelic. You know,
Yeah.
they're like, what is this? And I think, you know, they just want to listen.
Sure.
And I wanted to use the two tags.
You could first see if that one helps, and then if you need to.
Yeah.
So, do you gather the men outside the tent? Do you take them out beyond the camp? Do you just get on a soapbox in the middle?
I'm actually going to take him to the spot where Mentiok fell.
Okay. The black scorches that are left with the flame pittered out.
Man, I am having a bad day. Yeah, that one failed too.
Okay.
Oh. Ugh.
So, at the site, you have many Ashmen. And we call them the Ashmen because the flame had dissipated. And what was left were like these silhouettes, these humanoid forms that are very physical. They're not like, you know, ethereal or something. But they look like people who lost their features because they were like burned off. But not like in a way that they're like burn victims, just more in the way that they're almost like faceless. So you kind of have like the Foot Clan in front of you and around you, except for it's not costumes. And there are many, and they are looking at you in all of your weirdness to them. And your grace is odd. Your clothing is bright and almost hard to look at, and your skin looks soft, yet tan, not scorched or burned or, you know, like theirs would be in this land. Or bitten by, like, you know, dust and bitter weather. Did you have another tag in mind?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
You could look at your relationships.
Yeah, I think I want to use. I want to use my drive, my IOMED.
Okay.
Trying to think like, I mean, these warriors are one of the only ways I'm gonna get back to her. So, like having them behind me, I have to be able to inspire them, or else I'm not gonna be able to do this by myself.
I like to think that you go to the spot. It's attractive. It lures
Right.
these Ashmen there. And they all kind of huddle around you and start, you know, they thicken. The horde of them thickens with the bodies that are all kind of trying to peer at you. But it does give you this sort of unnerved feeling as you are looking around, surrounded by these faceless men who are all kind of at your beck and call, but they're creepy and they're odd, they're alien to you, and your words to them don't seem to be something they're used to. They're not inspired in the way that you imagine they'd be inspired.
Right.
And this makes you kind of dig down deep into your fellow angel.
Yeah.
What of your angel would inspire you, would give you drive? What purpose? Was it just that you want to get back to Iomedes?
Yeah, and maybe that like she was better than me at inspiring, like better than me at giving those speeches, those driving I'm lost for word on that one. But like she was just amazing at it. And I'm kind of like trying to draw from her ability to do that.
Channeling her.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you say to them? And again, think of like it's hard. It's like you're a comedian on stage and they're all just kind of staring at you, waiting to laugh. Or you're expecting them to laugh, but maybe they expect to cackle or something. Slightly different.
Because they're as awkwardly creepy as I am to them, I guess.
Yeah.
To me. I tell them that the only way that any of us are going to have a better life here is if we work together, if we are better than the Horde, if we are better than anybody else in the lowlands. We have to train and just have the mindset to win.
Do you did you roll the second die?
No, not yet.
Okay. Let me know how it goes.
All right. Hopefully this one goes better. Okay, I passed that one.
Okay. So you got a success and a miss, right?
Yes, yeah.
All right. So there is some rumbling amongst them, and one of them walks forward and says, "What are we to do without the fire? Without the fire, we cannot burn out the Horde where they stand. They will vile us with their stench and make us of them. We will become part of the Horde. Mentiac protected us with the fires. What can you do to help us?"
Oh, man.
We'll give you a minute. So, on the escapades, as
Yes.
Esprit and Edbrock leave the camp, leave the lands of Safer, and you head on forward. Where would you head?
Well, it's the tactical one. I've been looking to him over my shoulder.
Yeah, we definitely want to head towards the Hounds camp.
Okay. Do either of you have any strategies that would help you know their location?
Other than, it's kind of sound like a broken record, but espionage. So
Sure.
trying to make sure that Mintioc's armies, when they were still Mintioc's armies, was capable and prepared, so that my great master Cypher, the now leader, could
The
stay
always
protected.
leader.
The always leader, absolutely. Could stay protected. I would try to keep tabs of where the other armies were.
Okay. You can roll reason and espionage.
Okay.
I like that. Given that you're proactive, you have these skills, you were trying to work your angles and you deal in information, so.
I got one success, but I'm also like, I'm really devoted to espionage and learning information and finding and sussing information out.
Yes.
Um,
You know that the Hounds had attacked the horde. Like many others, they had thought that they could outnumber them. But this did ultimately lead to the demise of most of the hounds. Continue with your roll.
So yeah, I was gonna roll off that again. Okay, and it turned it into a critical success.
Okay. You know that the hound believed that they knew where to attack, and that they had coordinated attack with multiple other warlords, thinking that they could hit the horde in multiple locations at the same time, and actually thinking that the hive mind itself would kind of break them if they realized that they were losing in multiple fronts simultaneously, and make them all run together, forcing them to fight at their full strength, but ambushed as they basically like run, and in their retreat are hastily defeated by each one of these rival factions. In true demon fashion, of course, the plan did not go according to plan. The hounds were mostly defeated. Their leader goes by the name of... Oh, I put it right here. Nefarious. Nefarious was defeated and captured by the horde, and he was known to wield chains that he called his leashes. And the reason they were called the hounds were because he had many hounds that he could summon on these leashes, and he often went into battle fighting with many vicious demon hounds around him. Beyond the other horde, they were very much like him. They're almost like hammerhead looking figures that his people were known to wear masks and have multiple legs.
Okay.
So last known whereabouts of Nefarious was basically that he was either killed or kidnapped by the horde. Their people, if they would have gone back, you do know of a region basically where the survivors would have tried to regroup.
Okay. I'm trying to think if
you would also know all the locations of where the battle was.
Okay. Edward, I think the leader of the hounds has the best information. Last known about him was that he was captured at the hands of the Pestilent Hordes. But if we were quiet and sneaky enough, we may be able to sneak him out to gather what information he's been able to glean from being inside of their camp.
So what we know of this horde is that they are of one mind, essentially.
Yeah, think of them as shadow people. They're largely like the Ashmen, faceless, but they're shadow people in the way that they can like change shape and size, but they are always of shadow. They largely attack in ways of moving through shadows and attacking you as shadows, basically with usually very tiny pointy objects. They like those because in a lot of ways they're inconspicuous when they attack you out of shadows, because you don't see the pinprick, which is like the 10-foot pole or the stiletto that they're going to stab you with. So they're known that when they do attack people, people are killed by 1,000 cuts or 1,000, toothpicks kind of attacks. They are known to take over people, as in the shadows can consume you and you can become one of the horde.
If I were to somehow use my corruption,
Can you talk a little bit louder?
If I were to use my corruption and envelop myself in a way that they would, could they detect if I was one of them?
I heard, could they detect?
Oh, if he was one of them.
So if I enveloped in the shadow, amorphous.
You don't know, but you have been asked in the past if you are one of the Horde. You have been mistaken for shadow people because when you are consumed by the blight, it's the closest thing that people would recognize you as.
Okay.
So I think
That's
it basically comes down to whether or not they're many minds linked or a single mind controlling.
Yeah. So I feel
I like
There's a
what
way
you
to go
did there.
about that.
You framed it in a way that says, hey, we can learn something about them.
Yeah.
Which
say-
is it?
the way we work around this is we sneak in through your Vorpal cloak as close as possible. We find someone straggling or someone on the edge of maybe their control. I somehow use my blight to see if there's a connection mentally to a single being, or if they have continuous thought as like a thought weft.
So kinda
where
like-
they sense and feel everything.
So we want to use your control of the corruption of the blight to take one of the pestilence prisoner and cut him off from the rest of the horde.
We may do that.
Cut him off. I thought you said cut him up. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. So if they all share a conscious mind, then that one would have all the information we needed to find our leader.
And then if it turns into a shell or husk of shadow, then we know that it's one mind and many arms.
So I think that would be our best course.
So we'll head towards the plains where they fought the Hound.
Okay. Back to Cypher. Cypher, you are inside your tent. You can tell that most of the Ashmen have left. And if you do end up peering out of your tent, you see that they are all corralled around Velios. And Velios is giving a speech. It sounds like he's trying to inspire them.
Like he's trying to inspire them or succeeding in inspiring them.
Not doing very good.
It's pretty hard to tell. Mostly because his audience aren't the typical folk in the way of like, here. They're all kind of like shifty and, like, like you're like, is that good or is that bad? Are they excited? I can't tell. Though those closest to Velios, who should be the most excited, are not. They seem to be begging questions of him, which would make you think that there's doubt. Meanwhile, Velios.
Yeah.
So you had one success, one failure, right?
Yeah.
And they were asking you questions like, without the flames, how can we fight the Horde? What would you say to that?
So I approached the Ashman that asked the question, and I lay my hand on his shoulder,
Ooh.
and I look at him and I say, "We have one of the best or the smartest leaders that ever, and we have a master spy on our side,
Cypher, now you are seeing this, just so you know.
and I guarantee you we will have a way to defeat them. We don't need fire." And, can I use the divine touch to almost like do a calming effect on them?
Sure, yeah, go for it.
What
It'd be
would you do?
imagine divine
Imagine,
touch.
yeah, okay. One success on
Okay.
for imagine.
Any text would help you.
I'm gonna use benevolent to
Sure.
kind of like give him that show that I am also feeling, make myself look calm and give him the feeling that I don't know, almost that I. Ooh, that was hard. I don't know where to go with
Okay.
that one now.
It makes sense. You're a benevolent being, you know?
Yeah. Basically,
Uh,
just trying to exude that calm feeling.
Roll the die, sir. Roll the die.
That was horrible too. Okay, so 1 success.
Okay. So you lay your hand on him, and he kind of shifts and strangely looks at your hand, and that feeling kind of courses through him. And he seems appeased, but others kind of back away as your touch kind of domesticates him to them.
Right. Yeah.
These are people who have grown accustomed to
Harsh.
beings that take your essence and
Right.
transform you. You know, the horde can turn you into the horde. Mentiac will raise you out of the ashes into the flame. You know,
Right.
you soothe one, but you sow seeds in the other. Okay, but being feared can also be a powerful, influential tool. So, okay. Cypher, you looked out and you saw this, and you see that you can sense that some of them fear him. He is a mythical creature to them. To them, he is a figure of an alluring figure of, but alien. They know he's powerful, and therefore they will follow where he leads, but they don't quite know if he's one of them, kind of thing.
So it sounds like they're nervous because they're no longer fiery. They lack the fire. Could I? I don't know if I like any of my strategies really fit this, but I am intelligent and I have a love of lasers. Could I
Yes, you do.
create some kind of fiery weapon for them? Like more than just like a torch, maybe like a rudimentary flamethrower or like bombs of some sort.
Why not?
Maybe lasers that light stuff on fire.
What of those
Fire,
would you
I'll
like
bring
to
the
do?
fire.
Because you have all kinds of lasers.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's too bad you don't have one of the member of the horde to obliterate.
Right.
True. Yet.
Yet.
Could have just obliterate like a rock or something.
Is there any plant life nearby so I can show that it's a fire, that I could light stuff on fire, that the fire
Sure.
is not gone?
Yeah. They have these strange trees that are very spiky and, kind of mangled, weird trees that are mostly branches and not very leafy.
Just gonna immolate a tree. Just
It's not like we only have 5.
I need to show them that the fire has not left them. It's okay.
Okay. So do you like walk out of your tent, or do you just like point your laser out of the tent?
Yeah, I'll kind of walk out, kind of heading towards where they're like gathered since they have doubt. So I am glad to see that they fear one of my minions. Because I mean, if they fear him, obviously they fear me because
Yes.
he is my minion.
Fear by association.
So,
When you
Okay,
come
so
out, you
how
start
do-
walking by. Some of them begin to bow to you as they see you, and then, from Velios's vantage point, he sees like a domino effect as many begin to bow and look in your direction and sing your praises, which are mostly like hisses in this case because of the strange figures that the Ashmen are.
but I will tell them to fear not. The fire is not gone, and I will shoot one of the trees.
And are you shooting it with what laser?
Well, the lasers that I currently have, it's probably my moon laser. I'm
Okay.
calling down a shot from the sky to smite this tree.
Okay, so roll Imagine in Moon Laser.
Oh one success and one fail.
Okay.
But I am going to use my perceived authority that lasers give me. Because I have control of these lasers, like I know that this is the way to go. I know
Certainly.
exactly how to program this. And that is 2 successes.
Okay. How do you go about calling it? This is more descriptive for me in this story. Is it like a control panel that you pull out? Is it a little remote with one red button on it?
It's probably a control panel, but it's more simplistic than you'd think it should look for something as technical as this moon laser. It probably has like a joystick and like 3 buttons, and so I just kind of like put some commands in a flurry, and then point to the tree as the laser hopefully smites it.
And everyone looks to the sky as the green sort of like vaguely wind-torn skies begin, like if there was a cloud, these sort of greenish reddish clouds in the sky of darkness and shadow begin to spiral, and a brilliant light breaches through them. And when it does, it pierces these clouds and kind of sort of dissipates them. And this geyser of energy floods the sky, making this blinding light for anyone who looks up, and lambasts this tree. Like it obliterates like it makes a crater where the tree was. That you can imagine has at least some depth to it. Like if you go step in it, it's like the T-Rex footprint. You're like 4 feet in the ground. To which the hems and haws of the army, as they all sort of almost cower as they look up to the sky and see like the heavenly bodies separate, and this giant laser blasts the tree. Depending on the words you say here, will really determine how they feel about this going forward.
I would probably say, see, the fires have not left. We can continue on towards greatness.
They all scream and howl and raise their fists and their weapons and begin, clanking them in the sky. Velius, you're kind of enveloped by, you're surrounded by these marauders who are all just screaming and, raising their arms in the air right now. They are inspired.
I'm in a bit of awe myself.
That was a big laser.
You've never seen anything like that, as far as you know, Velios, and you have no idea what that was.
I don't know. Like God, bring down and smoke the tree. I don't know.
Yeah. There's nothing in your training that has explained to you what that could be.
Do we see that?
Yes, awesome. Okay, so
Probably catch the glimpse of like the glowing sky.
the two of you would be quite a distance, but you're not like days away or anything, right?
Yeah.
So you're like an hour away, and you probably, since you mentioned it, we'll say you're the one who sees it first. And, two people talking. One guy's back's got to be to it, right? So you're kind of talking as the two of you were talking about the hounds and coming up with your plan and how you're heading towards the plains. And Edward Brock is staring at you, talking about the location, as you can see the green sky from far away begin to lighten some strange color, like I said, it's as if it breaches the clouds. So before that, there's a moment where like the green clouds look like they're ready to burst, and there's a bright light behind them that's glowing but dulled by the clouds, and then and there's 3 or 4 seconds of brilliant light, a giant sort of like flame that erupts, and then like that, it's gone.
And it's obviously like near Cypher's camp.
The best part about it, it actually, you probably wouldn't be surprised. You may think it got shot by it. Like
Yeah.
there's not really anything to say otherwise from your vantage point. I mean, you can't really see the camp completely, but you can kind of see like maybe the smoke or some part of like the location where it was. And this was it's going to look like it pretty much hit it. But
Okay. So the radio frequencies that my suit can pick up, the armor that I'm wearing can pick up, can it transmit?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So I'm gonna message back.
Okay.
Supreme Leader Cypher. Supreme Leader. Is
So
the camp destroyed?
Cypher, what of your objects would this come out of? Where would this come out of your person?
I probably have like a wristband type thing.
Okay.
A little like calm watch esque. I would say, what? Of course not. Who could possibly destroy our camp?
Well, I saw the sky catch fire and send a bolt of flame at the camp.
Yes, I had to inspire the troops. They are successfully inspired.
They are inspired.
You called fire from the sky?
Of course.
I have lasers.
Oh, wonderful.
All right.
How goes the intel with the pestilent sword?
We're going to capture a member of the Horde. We're headed to the plains where they fought the hounds now.
Excellent. Best of luck to y'all.
Yes, thank you.
Esprit,
Yes,
was that
that was Supreme Leader.
the laser as well?
She called the fire. Yeah.
You
That's
obviously knew about that, right?
I've never seen it. I've never seen anything like that. That's
Do you
completely new.
do you think that there might be something more that we don't know? Almost that she might actually have a plan?
Well, we'll need to gather as much information as we can, but if she can call that sort of force from the sky, we can probably burn the Horde out easily.
Yeah. That almost seemed malicious, but in a way that may help us.
Yes. We'll carry on for now, and we'll make sure that we keep track of that and include it in our battle plans.
All right. How much
The
further
two-
do we have?
The two of you reach the plains. When you reach the plains, again, think of like war-torn areas. This is more hilly. There's more, and the hills are more like sort of like jagged little cliffs that don't go much more than maybe 10 or 12 feet. So these little like sort of passes and hillocks that have like more sharp and rugged edges. You got to watch your steps so that you don't fall into like a trench. It's got strange sort of like grass that just more like weeds that kind of pop up in different spots, and sometimes they're occasionally high but never thick. You can see the remains of battle here, as in like you can see weapons that are strewed across the ground, and markings of like fire and fighting and blood and stains, but no bodies, which is not unlike the Horde.
What sort of weapons do we find?
Mostly they're kind of crude, as in that they're either like like iron or stone, but they're all sharp or very strong and sturdy.
Okay.
Nothing's like brittle, and if it's brittle, it's obsidian and it's very sharp.
Okay. And is that what we assume the Pestilence Horde uses? Is the obsidian weapons?
You assume that the weapons they use would not be on the ground.
Okay. Okay. So they likely form their weapons as they use them, kind of thing.
That's largely the belief, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It could actually be an appendage of them, a part of their beings, but since they can morph their bodies into shadow and change their size and shape, it it's not too much of a leap to think that they could maybe elongate a finger and make it like a sharp point or something.
Okay.
As the two of you are looking around, you do see a lone figure walking in the distance towards your direction. He seems to be looking towards the sky, as if he may have saw some brilliant light some time ago. You can hear strange chains that must be lingering on the fellow.
Okay. Edward, stay down. I'll be right back. I'm gonna investigate that being.
He doesn't seem to have noticed us, so I think he'll be fine. He's preoccupied with what we were preoccupied with moments ago.
Yes, I think he's likely following the light. It should be easy for me to sneak up on him and come up behind him. But it'll be more difficult. I'm going to use blinking.
Okay.
For this one. So
go for it.
And I'm going to make sure that the Vorpal cloak has me encompassed.
Okay.
So, 2 successes.
Okay. You appear behind the individual, safely on the ground, not over a trench or some other thing that could hurt you. What you see, though, surprises you in the way that the figure very much matches one of the hounds, maybe even Nefarious, but seems to be walking on moving shadows within the ground.
Can I use espionage to see if he's likely been subverted by the Pestilent Hordes?
Certainly. Okay. It'd be imagine espionage.
Okay. I got 1 success, but because I'm hiding, I think that would give me a little bit of help with getting the information without being seen.
Yeah. I mean, they're not looking for you. They don't know you're there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also very devoted to espionage and the figuring out of information.
Not to mention, obviously, that you're trying to gather it for Esprit as well.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I got 1 success.
Okay, so you don't know, because you don't know what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But it may be the case. It may also be that he's traveling with members of the Horde that are shifting through the ground right now.
Okay.
Because if you're looking at him, you may not notice that there are maybe a couple figures or a handful of them that are traveling below his feet, basically.
Okay. In his shadow, as
but
it were.
Either way, you're sure there's some kind of association here. If that is, in fact, the leader of the hounds, he wouldn't be traveling with them and not know it, you know?
Right. So so I'm going to work off the assumption, at least, that if he hasn't been completely consumed by the Pestilent Hordes, that he's at least working with them for some reason.
Sure. Now, how close?
So I'll
how
blink
close did you get with
back
the
to Edward. I wouldn't want to get within 10 feet
Okay.
because I don't know how good his senses are, or if he is traveling with the Pestilence Hordes, how good their reach would be.
Okay.
So I'd want to keep it at least 10 feet. Right.
Was that Aaron or was that Josh?
Oh, that was,
Aaron.
Okay. I couldn't hear you. What did Aaron say?
I was saying that he would definitely not get any closer because he does not know how they are physically, or even if their physical form can be seen.
Yeah, gotcha. So being as close as you were, you could hear some of what they're talking about. You can't make out too much, but since you are someone who is skilled in espionage, you can make out every few words. You hear things like the shadows, and these are voices from the shadows.
Okay.
You don't hear a Nefarious saying anything other than just kind of nodding as he's walking, as if maybe he's not supposed to give off the appearance he's talking to somebody. That makes a lot of sense, you being kind of a spy. But the figures below sound like they're prepping him almost with certain information. And they say things like, don't return to the steps. They say things like, the horde will be all around them. What that means, you don't know, but
Right.
those are things you kind of gather.
Okay. Like roughly how many voices did I hear?
You heard,
Or what
you heard at least two talking at one time,
Okay.
but they have the same sound.
Okay.
So, yeah, there may have been more, but they sound the same. It's just the only way you could tell is that there was times where there was more than one talking simultaneously.
That gives us good information first.
Yeah.
So if they're having a conversation, there's at least some degree of individual mind. I'll blink back to Edward.
Okay.
Do you need me to roll for that, or
No.
okay? Edward, that, and I do know it's nefarious, or
You believe it to be, yeah.
nefarious.
You believe because of the chains
Okay.
that are dangling, the size of him amongst the hounds, he
Mhm.
larger. He does look very formidable.
Right.
But they do look similar in the way that, like, you've never seen him in person before. He just
Right.
he fits he fits the look. You're pretty sure
He fits the profile. Right. Edward, I think that's nefarious. He's traveling with what I assume to be members of the Pestilence Horde. They're planning something. They don't want him to go to the steps, and they have someone surrounded.
You said he's traveling with someone?
There are shadows beneath him.
When he points that out, you can see the ground kind of shimmering below.
I never would have thought. Oh, so they essentially just exist in shadow. In the steps, you said it wouldn't be best.
Yeah, they told him, I think it was to not return to the steps. The only steps I know are the steps leading to Venivas.
Yeah. How does one reach a demon city other than the steps?
Wings.
Wait a minute. We know someone that can fly.
Hypothetically.
Awkwardly. Yes.
We need to find a way to restore his wings. The angels. Sorry.
Philios, yes. But with
Your symbiote gives you strange ideas of melding with the angel and giving it light wings to fly up in the air with.
It rise. The suit bubbles and waves. Almost startling.
I
I have a
just
terrible idea.
reactively blink a little bit away.
Sure.
I have a terrible idea.
All right, hold that thought because that's funny. All right, Velios, back at base, the Shadow Men are going back. The Ashmen are returning to your stations, walking around. They seem very energetic, energized, mobile, ready for something. It seems almost like a lot of untapped energy that would be a waste to lose. Many of them are going to go investigate like the crater and are kind of admiring the handiwork of the power, the sheer power that their potential demon lord may behold. What do you want to do at camp?
I start thinking that maybe it'd be better if I communicate actually through physical like ability instead of like mental like actual talk contact. Is it seems like they understand more physical than anything. So I think I'm going to attempt to gather some of them and see if they want to spar and train like
Okay.
that instead. Maybe get a better use out of a time instead of them looking at me awkwardly and me looking at them awkwardly.
Certainly. So you spend some part of the day doing this. Obviously, you are the better.
Yeah.
You have natural instincts and reflexes that the like that they don't know. They're used to slow and strong, and you are quick, fast, agile. Sharp, precise.
I want to like almost teach them like maybe some things like moves and such like actual I say like techniques maybe of
Yeah.
fighting. They're maybe not because they're probably using like just club something on the head type
Mhm.
fighting.
As you're doing this, and we're just saying that you have all the time. They're inspired. You have the talent and the skills. There's no pressing matter of like they need to know this right now. So this is something that you're kind of like you're able to work through the day. They're very motivated, so they're very willing and excited. And especially if Cypher happens to walk by occasionally, they want to impress her. So this goes on for a few more hours. So it's been maybe 4 or 5, 6 hours, something like that, since the light show this morning or earlier today. When a member of the Ashmen runs towards you, and he's waving his weapon up in the air, obviously for some kind of emergent situation.
I look at him and say, "Yes, what is the problem?"
They're here.
Who is here?
The Horde. They've come for us.
Okay. I basically take off to get the cipher.
As you take a few steps away from this Ashman, like I said, they look like faceless individuals.
Yeah.
The person's head begins to glow with a sort of like a greenness, almost like those geysers that are floating out of Venevis. And it seems to be emanating in the region of the head that would be much like a mouth. And that panting you took for tiredness seems to have actually been something more. So you get about 5-10 feet away, 10 steps, away from the individual when that clicks in your head that something was very strange about what just happened. Do you continue running, or do you stop to go find out what it was?
Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to turn around and approach him and ask what had happened to you. What happened?
Okay. I need an Imagine Battleborn check.
Okay. Success on the Battleborn.
Okay.
Um,
Any tags?
let's see. Yeah, I actually can't think of anything with any of the ones I currently
No
have.
problemo. No problemo. So, one success?
Yeah.
Okay. You turn around and you realize that there is like some kind of out of character, like a radioactive bile that's forming, which seems to be out of where the mouth would be on this faceless figure. When you turn around, you see that sort of panting, choking, body, torso bobbing was actually in a way sort of like the jerking reaction of whatever this is. And as you turn back and begin walking towards it, this sort of green vomit explodes, erupts out of different orifices that must be still hidden behind the ash. And this figure falls, but a pool of this green sort of, ectoplasm looking like acid starts forming around. And there seems even to be sort of a noxious sort of gas that seems to emanate from it. And this all just kind of erupts in front of you. Not you, as you turn around, it's close. So basically it's like on the edge of your footsteps, almost spraying you, but you're right there. And you see that so are many of these ashmen that were, here training with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I am going to. Well, I kind of spring back with like clumsily on my wings, like maybe 5 feet up in the air, and I think I'm going to. I yell for Cypher.
Okay.
And I say, "We have a problem."
Cypher, you are. Where are you? Did you go back to your tent, or are you walking around?
Probably back in my tent.
Okay. In your tent, you hear probably the last thing you want to hear is actually Velios being the one who's giving the panicked Cypher.
What could they be needing now? I'll start kind of making my way like out, but I'm just kind of walking. I'm not sprinting yet. I mean, surely he's capable of handling whatever the problem is, but I'll go that way.
Okay. You then hear many other sounds of other people making noises that are frantic and panicked. And when you open your tent flap, you see a lot of confusion. Is that a lot of the people in the Ashmen, if they were sitting around cooking food, BSing, everyone is on high alert as they're all kind of moving. But the strangest thing is actually how everyone is looking at each other as if anyone could be a threat. And when your eyes finally catch Velios, not maybe 100 feet, not too far away from where the whole Mentiac thing happened, you can see sort of a gas rising that has almost like a pink hue to it, and people that are over in that area are kind of running. And Velios, you see him like awkwardly flop as if one wing worked in sort of like a half circle, sort of like away from that area.
Do I have any clue what the gas or anything might be?
I think that there's probably a good chance you have some idea of some of the stuff that's been going on. So what strategies, do you have any strategies that help you kind of know the lay of the land or the powers that be or what's going on?
Not really. I've got, unless the fact that I'm a convincing liar might help.
Well, I think an imaginative use of convincing liar would work because you got to know a little bit of what's going on to actually lie about it.
Let's see what
You can't be like, hey, the Horde's coming, and be like, you see those guys in the white outfits? Well, I mean, you can because you're lying, but but normally it's not convincing. Yeah.
I did get a double success.
All right. You know that the Horde are known for two things. One is being shadow people that like to pinprick their enemies to death, and they could be anywhere where shadows can be. Two is that they often can either sicken their foes with a sort of noxious gas or poison, the pestilent part of the Pestilent Horde, that they often use this as part of their fighting style as well. Not only can they kind of put it in people, but they can obviously, attack people with it as well if it's like open combat. Which, if you have open war with them, you'll see a lot of it, because obviously them fighting from the shadows is much more of a guerrilla tactic. But if it was like open war, you'd see a lot more of this. But it obviously causes them a lot of casualties as well, because the acidic effects.
Around what time of day is it? Is it like midday-ish, or?
It's kind of like kind of leaning towards the evening, but this realm, this strange place, has very long sort of days, because everything's kind of like that sort of midday because of how the sky works here.
Okay.
There's clearly night, and the rest is kind of this murky, long middle day.
Oh, sorry. I will first call for everyone to step away from the gas, the acid area. I don't want anybody else getting infected. And I will call out if anyone was with him, like on his way back into camp, like what, because like obviously he saw the pestilence horde. Was anybody else with him, or was he by himself? Like, I'm asking.
Okay, Josh, are you doing anything?
I think I'm gonna go towards Cypher and just ready myself.
Sure. Okay. So, Cypher, as you start calling out, you can see that a lot of, like I said, the Ashmen are kind of moving around. They're a little scared, not knowing who could be infected or where the attacks are coming from. The significant signs of it being the Horde are something that basically puts the fear of the Horde in each of them, because they were surprised. So, as you're talking, they all look at you as their respected leader, but they're just kind of disoriented and dismayed. But you will get answers out of parts of them, because they're not all going to be crazy. So the gist of what you gather is that he was a part of several that were basically in the region. I mean, you have patrols kind of. That hasn't really been something established. They're just kind of doing kind of what they already did before, but they can point you in the direction of where they know he came from. So you can basically gather that he came from that away, and he was with others, but they only saw him or maybe one or two other people. It wasn't like a big group of them that returned.
Okay.
He was notably running when he came back, so to bring attention to himself.
Okay, then we should probably head in the direction that he came from. I will tell the minions that are staying in camp to stay on high alert and to be ready. And, Velios, you and I should head that direction and see what's out there.
I like Velios is
How
like,
many
okay.
Are there
Say one time?
the Ashmen that are a little more calm right now, a little more level-headed in everything that's happening, or are they all kind of?
As you walk around, you can calm them pretty quick, because they are very inspired by you, very powerful to them. If you are walking around with a cool head, that helps. It is only one isolated attack. They're just at first panicked about it, thinking that they're all going to get attacked, but that doesn't seem to be the case, at least immediately. So you can pretty quickly start calming them down and gathering them, and quite a few of them would basically rush to you anyway, because you are like the leader. Like, oh shit, there's the leader. All right, if we're in trouble anyway, we should probably go be with her. So,
all right, then yeah, I'll tell most of them to ready up and just prepare defensively. But I'll probably grab a handful and have them come with us as well.
Okay, back to Esprit and Edward Brock. Edward Brock, what was your terrible idea?
The terrible idea, being obviously should not go anywhere near the stairs. And we have an angel that needs either to regain her power or his power to fly, or someone to forcibly make that happen. We may find someone less than willing that I absorb, and I may try to infuse that power back into our angel to make these wings whole again
Use
through the blight.
You're going to use the blight to make somebody whole?
If there's one thing that I want to do, is to cure this scar, this blighted world. And there's only one way to do that. And it is to use what people perceive as evil and use it for what it really is. Power.
Where I come from, that is beyond imagination.
I want to do what no one has tried and simply use it for what it can do, not simply let it destroy and consume.
Okay. Well, then let's get Nefaris. We'll get him away from the shadows, and we'll take him back, and we'll see if that's something we can do.
How does one remove a being's shadow?
Do you think you can encase him in your blight? Do you think you can form a cage of blight around him?
There might be a way to, which I feel they are telekinetically anchored to him. I may be able to overload that with the mind that the blight has. That may work.
At this point, you realize that he is actually moving rather fast. Obviously, in some way being like as if he's walking on like a, like you go to the airport and they have like the escalator, but it's like on the ground.
Treadmill kind of
Yeah. So you noticed it before, but at this point, the more you're talking, the more you're like, hey, he's moving really fast. I know he's got 4 legs, but those legs aren't even moving that fast for how much ground he's covering. He's not like a car or anything. He's not like he's going to like outpace you, but I mean, if you just stay here for a while, he will.
My thinking is that I'll grab you in my cloak. We can blink above him. You can grab him, and then we'll. I've done it before, but we can do a series of short jumps, as far as I can see, back to base, in rapid succession, and that may be able to assist you in overloading that presence, and assist in severing him from the.
Like that.
Yes.
Well, then what do we have else then but to try?
I grab him in my cloak and I go to do that.
Okay. So you were going to try to blink to keep up with him, right? And that's okay. Like that's not a problem.
Yeah. I'm gonna. So my idea, what I was trying to convey, is that I want to grab him, grab Edward, blink just slightly in front of and above where Nefaris is, and then give just that half a second it would take to start to fall. Give Edward that much time to grab him with the blight, and then just like blink to the horizon until we're back at camp.
Okay. Yeah. So you. What I guess I missed is what is he going to do?
He's gonna.
So essentially, I'm going to try and take the consciousness that the blight has, and use that link to overpower what link we expect that the horde has over our target.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically, it'll kind of look weird, but like the visual image that I see as this is happening is a flapping cloak, a black like chain, quote unquote chain,
Yeah.
and a giant ball that is nefarious and jumping across the, blink, 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 blink.
Sure. So the role I'm most concerned of is obviously Edward Brock's.
Yes.
So that is probably Imagine. And which one are you using? Is it the transmutation or is it the control? Let me see.
Yeah, I think control works.
I think it may need to be control and
Yeah,
then
sorry,
transmutation.
I said transmutation, but it is transfusion. So yeah, it's control.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe like two of them back to back.
Yeah. It's
maybe this one and
Imagine.
then do that
It's
one.
Imagine control.
Let's
See how that does.
All right, we actually have 2 successes.
Nice.
Excellent. Okay, so you basically, as you've explained, you blink above the sort of. I'm kind of imagining almost like it's like a knapsack in a way, like it
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
grabs-
almost, yeah.
Like you're like catching minnows in a.
Yeah,
Right in a bag.
it just kind of like launches around him out of thin air because the cloak kind of opens and then like
Right.
swooping down, and Nefarious basically like looks up as his body gets kind of wrapped in it, and has this shocked look as he looks straight up. Oh, I'm sorry, you wouldn't know that because the mask. So anyway,
okay.
you just look, you'd see like a rounded, actually it's like a hammer-headed figure of a head that kind of looks up, but you can see that the face is covered with the mask. Now this mask actually looks a lot like a burn victim, but it's stretched out as if it was over like a hammerhead. So the large, very heavy figure, but of no concern right now with the blinking, it's like zipped, boing, 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 away from the shadows that were underneath it that probably are surging after you or trying to make sense of what's going on.
Right.
As the group of you heads back to the camp. Where would you release Nefarious, and at what point? So where are you taking him?
I would take it straight to Cypher's tent. Just like blink right in front of Cypher's tent with a
Okay.
giant ball on the Ferris.
I collapse, obviously, from the extraneous hold of this large being.
Yes.
Just almost the whiplash from like the flying of the blinking and everything, and just disorientation.
And then when we land, Cypher, we have Nefarious, but the Horde is on its way.
To which
Velios.
we probably look around to see.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so Velios, you basically were the last one to leave to go catch up with Cypher, who had basically had already taken a group of the Ashmen and said, come join me, but you had to go back and get something. But fortunately, going back to get something meant that you saw this sort of blighted knapsack drop this giant figure in Cypher's tent, and saw your 2 companions basically pop out of thin air, which is obviously the cloak, and land next to it. And you see Esprit swing open Cypher's flap and start, saying something within. But they're not too far away, but it drew enough attention that you noticed it as you were about to leave.
Okay. I run over to them, obviously, because I need to let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
Um,
You can see the force that she took kind of like heading north in the distance, but
yes.
Velios, where's Cypher? The Horde is on its way.
And the blight, and it's everything, and we just found the guy, and there's shadows, and
We have already had contact. One of our Ashman has been poisoned.
That's not good. They have us surrounded. Where's Cypher?
Cypher went north with a group of the Ashmen.
How many?
I don't know. Almost all of them.
I'm gonna blink
The
north.
camp is relatively empty.
You can
Yeah.
see from here, it's a good sized force, but she didn't take a ton. She took like a chunk.
Yeah, because I know that they had somebody surrounded, and I know that they have started an assault on the camp.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna want to get a cipher as quickly as possible, because if we lose our demon lord, glorious leader,
Yeah.
then we're gonna have problems.
Okay.
I think Jess had to step away for a second.
Yeah, she stepped away for a minute. Yeah.
So okay, so that's what I'll do.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say you two. What do you do with Nefarious? Is he dropped out of the suspension or?
Yeah, he will be on the floor just like I was, just probably befuddled because now he's no longer controlled by the shadow.
Yeah.
And he's somewhere he was not.
So Nefarious is probably like 8 feet tall. He's got kind of chains that dangle from his sort of blackish armor. He's got 4 legs that look a lot like 4 elephant sort of feet. So they're
centaur-like.
wide, sturdy. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
He's very centaur-like.
Yeah, quite. Except for it's more of a the centaur has that long base. This is just kind of like, a torso sticking up.
Out from.
okay.
As if like your pelvis had 4 legs, like more like a spider, right? But like 4 big legs. He has a mask that are very common of his people. The mask doesn't really give away necessarily where his features are. It does give him almost like a grotesque burn victim sort of look, but it's stretched over a head and whatever's else underneath that looks a lot more like a hammerhead sort of shape. He's very wide.
Just large.
Yeah, he's very wide. I mean, he's not Mentiac large or big, but he's, obviously a strong figure. Let's see if there's anything else you need to know. You can't imagine that he can see out of anything, out of that mask, but
yes, I look at Eddie. Like, what do we want to do with him?
he gets up kind of slowly. His 4 legs plant and he gets up fast, but other than the legs, he moves rather slowly, as if not to give alarm.
Well, we know that he may know something about these creatures, and we know we need to somehow make him know that we're not fighting him.
He's got 2 burnt wings in spiked armor. He basically just kind of, his head moves around as if he's kind of like, getting an idea of what's going on. He still hasn't said anything. He also has a forked tail that looks like it's been basically like bit several times. It's got bite marks all over it. When no one says anything, he basically looks to both of you who are staring at him. So where is this cipher?
Cipher, right. She's you would know, right?
Yeah. She actually went north with a force because we had been attacked by the Horde.
Are you Legion with her?
Yes.
Yes.
I appreciate that you both agree to that.
So does she.
An enemy of my enemies is my friend. I wish to join you.
We wish for that as well. Good.
We also need all the information that you have about the Horde. But we
Yes.
can talk about that later.
What exactly
I have fought the
captured?
Horde. I know how to fight the Horde. I can teach you.
I guess we
Sorry, what'd you say?
say, Samir?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we definitely want to know how he was captured, since he knows how to fight them.
Sure. He explains to you that basically he had set up an elaborate ambush, believing, if you remember, I'm shortening the version that I explained earlier, is that rival factions had come together to try to wipe out the Horde, thinking that if they could basically demoralize many factions of the Horde simultaneously, they could get them to run together and then continue to have the advantage until they wiped them out. Unfortunately, the plan didn't go perfectly. His force was defeated, as parts of the enemy were basically betrayed him, and their forces were not as strong as they thought they were. So most of his force was relegated to being assimilated into the Horde. Though since he was valuable, they kept him basically as a prisoner, and thankfully you freed him from being a prisoner.
Well, I'm very glad to see that, as odd and elaborate as a plan as it was, it seems to have worked. But the real problem, how do we fight a shadow?
How do you fight a shadow? Mantiac could burn them. Fire works well. If you can consume a shadow, or if you can remove all darkness.
I definitely know someone who's quite the opposite of darkness. Looks up to an angel.
But the truth is, they die just like anything else. But if you can make those two things your friend, then they won't be as shifty.
Well, what do you say?
Do you know if their hive mind is centralized to one point, or if it is? Do you have any idea if it is just shared between all of them, or if there's a central, like, nerve?
They seem to know what each other knows. I don't think that it goes through any one point. I think they all know.
It's never easy.
Okay, I think we should probably catch up with Cypher.
I think it'd be a little too odd for him to offer us a ride. So I guess
yeah, he wouldn't be much of a mount. He's faster than you guys, but he's not actually like super fast, considering it was the shadows that were moving him.
Mm-hmm.
So the group of you all moves to basically head towards Cypher. Going back to Chris, Esprit, when you reach Cypher, you realize she hasn't gone too far ahead, because in the distance you can see a wall of the Horde. Think of like 300 in the way that, like, there's a part where part of the horizon seems to be these shadow figures that are all just standing there lurking.
How long does it go?
How far do you look?
So what I want to do to get a
not
good
look
vantage.
thick. It
Okay.
looks wide.
Okay. So
It looks like they could be forming a line
like
around
a circle of
the
sorts.
horizon. You like a circle of sorts, yeah.
So what I want to do is I'm going to try to fight inertia in a kind of a weird way, but I want to blink like 300 feet up, get a quick 360, and then blink straight back down to the ground, so that I don't gain too much speed in that process.
Okay. So we need a roll only because you could really hurt yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it sounds like Imagine, because you're just doing it on the fly, like bing,
Yeah.
bing, 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 bing.
Okay. So one success, but so this one is knowing this could help us put the enemy in a position where they don't have the upper hand. So I'd like to use checkmate.
Okay.
Right.
Is that like right on the dot?
It's one over. If it was reason, I'd have got it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have any other tags that would work for this.
Okay, but you succeeded,
Yeah.
and there was a catch, right?
Right.
Okay. So, what was your intention? You wanted to see if they were all around the camp?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to see how deep and how wide they are.
Okay. When you look around the camp, it does in fact look like they're hard to make out in the way that like they're shadow figures, but they're not necessarily extraordinarily tall or something.
Right.
They're pretty humanoid in the way that like they're, size. Actually, in some cases, it looks like there are some larger ones, but you almost wonder if it's to take up more space, more than it is a large amount of them. It does look like there's a thin line surrounding the camp with an amount of the people that seem to be moving in certain directions, maybe to strengthen it. So a portion of it seems to be heading in the direction of, basically your force that's heading north.
Okay.
So it looks like they have a thin line around the base. They can all think what they're thinking, so they can realize that a force is moving this direction, so they can bolster it.
Okay. All right. So when I get back to the ground, what's that catch?
It was probably in something I told you.
Okay. Fantastic. That works for me. I just wanted to make sure that we had gotten that before I carried on.
Sure.
Cypher, this is bad. The horde is here. They have us surrounded, but we've captured, or we've repatriated Nefaris.
Okay. So the quick rundown, while Jessica was gone, is that
that's
basically what happened. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to do it? Because you could.
I was, yeah.
Go for it.
Because
Yeah.
she doesn't know. So
Yeah.
I was able to get Nefaris away from them. So he has information that we can use to fight the horde, but we don't have much time. They're already here. And they look to be heading this way and closing the circle, tightening the noose, as it were.
Sounds like we'll have to act fast.
If you'd like, I can get you back to camp so we can formulate a better plan.
Excellent idea. Let's head back.
I grab her and blink.
Okay. As you say, you return, which conveniently Velios and Edward Brock and Nefarious reach the North Camp. And so they get where you are as you two blinked away. The three of you see on the horizon basically the line of the horde. And Cypher, did you tell your men to head back home or anything, or did you tell them to stay there? Or?
I would have said, let's meet back.
Okay.
Fine.
So as you guys are walking up, some of the forces are starting to walk towards you, and they're saying, Cypher told us to turn back. But you can see in the distance the line, which is like the horde.
This is bad. There's a lot more than I ever expected.
Yeah. With a force named the Horde.
Well, I
It
mean,
comes.
we
comes
fought
respect.
a horde, technically. And it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. This horde of shadows, is worse than I expected. Give and take.
It's worth mentioning that if you had Chris's information, you'd probably look at this just to give you some scale, right? That like maybe there's 500 of them and there's probably like 300 of you.
Yeah.
So don't think of it like it is, the 300 versus like Xerxes' legions, It's not that bad. And not to mention there's 500, they're very well spread out.
Yeah.
So you guys maybe came up there with like, 75 guys, and saw there was a line. Maybe you could have taken him if you wanted to, but that's kind of what was going on there. So,
Okay.
is there anything the two of you and the NPC wanted to? And Nefarious would look towards the two of you. So you must be the generals I heard of. The dark one and the small one.
Yes.
He's
that
probably
is us.
talking to you.
Edward, what do you what is your take? Should we head back to camp, or do you think we could take them?
I feel like we won't have the backing of the troops without our leader.
All right.
And I feel like
Head back.
3 of us alone could not
that's probably
take
not
on
a good idea.
this raid ever closing. I think we follow the soldier's lead and return.
The two of you say that, and Nefarious looks to you. I know how to fight them. Your men won't listen to me, but if the 3 of us charged out, we could take out this line, and they wouldn't be surrounding us anymore. It would inspire your men.
I do believe him. I think he is right.
I am confident.
I just like how he's like, the small one says, that's a good plan.
I am quite stubborn, though. So I advise that we regroup with the tactician and the leader. She will lead the men. We can lead the army.
Yeah, and I mean, he's powerless in this case. Yeah. He can go charge out there by himself, but he's pretty sure your men aren't going to follow him. So follow me as he runs out there, and everyone just keeps walking back to camp.
Yeah. We're going streaking. Just you, man. It's just you.
Just you. Hey, what happened, everybody?
We're going streaking
You're
in
just
the
naked
car.
and streaking.
Cypher, you're back outside your tent. You don't always have to be in your tent. So,
I'm looking for Nefarious. I was told he would be here.
You were told incorrect because he was here, but he's temporarily unavailable as he's over yonder.
I'm going to look around and see if I can figure.
I like to think that as you're looking around, you see the men, you don't see them, they do stick out. You don't see them amongst the men. You go a little bit further, and then you go about halfway back out the way you came, and you can see the 3 of them almost by themselves, like, 100 yards behind the rest of the men, and they're kind of talking amongst each other and looking back and pointing at the horizon. Yeah, so I mean, you basically find them, and you could reach them, and
Yeah.
they're about 15 minutes away, but for you, it's like 3.
Right. How far is that dark horizon?
Like, let's say like a quarter mile.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Esprit. I see him.
I should probably say like a mile, given that it's going to be like a half mile, because they got to be increasingly noticeable, but at the same point, far enough to justify walking, getting, so
Right.
So somewhere in that
You
range.
should see what he needs.
I'll raise my hand and just beckon.
Either you blink or we make our way.
Yeah.
I make my way over.
Sure, you guys get back. It's fine.
Yeah,
You get back, and Cypher waits.
Tap, 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 tap.
Tapping my toes impatiently.
But tap.
So, Cypher, just the quick run of the mill is that Nefarious has got he's probably like 8 feet tall. He's not gigantic, but he's kind of wide. He has like a hammer head, kind of like a little bit of the shape of a hammer, but it's within a mask that conceals his whole head. He's got kind of spiked armor and burnt wings that hang off his back, but don't look like they would ever fly anything. He's got a forked tail that looks all chewed up, and he's got 4 legs that look like sort of like elephant feet. They come out of like the base of his body. He's not long like a centaur or a horse or anything. He's just kind of, got a very stable base.
Okay. You must be this nefarious who has an idea of how we're going to defeat the Pestilent Horde. Here, you spent some time with them.
Yes, and you must be the... He looks around. The surging demon lord ready to ascend to the great city of Venivus.
Of course.
Sorry, it took me a minute as the player, as the guy, to be like, what did I say that'd be impressive? I heard that you and these people extinguished Mentiac.
It was easy.
Yes, I know how to fight the Horde. If you give me some of your men, I can show them. And when they see victory, they will all know victory.
Can I use espionage to kind of... We just took him from the clutches of an entity that we know can subvert people and consume them and assimilate them.
Yes.
Can I roll espionage to see if he's on the level?
Certainly.
Okay.
Imagine espionage.
All right. All right. Because I'm conniving, I would be able to kind of pick his words out, tell where his eyes are looking, what way his head is facing, and kind of pay attention to his body language to see if he's worried about being found out.
Darius is nervous.
Okay, 2 successes.
With a name like Nefarious, I don't understand why you'd think anything of it.
No. It's shifty.
Okay, so you get 2 successes, right? So you can't make up much of his body language because he exudes that strong body language that a leader does. He doesn't have his face, so you can't really see the face, and his base doesn't let him really be wiggly. Like he always just stands kind of strong and solid. So let's see. You want to know espionage. So out of espionage, you would look at it like, okay.
Like studying a mark.
Yeah. I mean, firsthand they were feeding him information.
Right.
So basically, as you're hearing this, your bullshitometer is going off that it's just all too good to be true.
Right.
You know that if they consume someone, like they're the Horde.
Yeah, they're not letting him go.
Yeah. Now, if he was made of shadow, you could tell by his feet, unless this is an elaborate costume. So, I mean, one thought is that obviously, you could try to make him reveal himself more or something to prove it.
Yeah.
2 is that he has too good of a story, right? Like, I mean, of course he wants revenge. His people are gone, but
yeah.
So
I'd like to because the bullshitometer is pegging out a little bit.
And you got 2 successes here. So if you think of ways that I can help you, I may just help you. So just
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, because I just don't feel right about it. It feels too perfect, and no enemy is that easy to pierce.
Yes.
And especially knowing that he was trying to armies directly into a shadow force. I'm gonna use my bone garrote.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna blink behind him, and I'm gonna use his powerful base to kind of put pressure on his neck with the garrote.
Sure.
And try to pressure him that way.
Okay.
So I do like to use assassination. I don't want to kill him, but I would use the same idea and tactics that assassination would use.
Your 2 success in espionage, you don't need to roll right now.
Oh,
you can carry on. because he doesn't have any reason to think otherwise, and he doesn't even have a weapon right now, so it's not like he could really. I mean, of course, he's powerful, but you have the upper hand. So, what do you want to try to pressure out of?
So, keeping as much control of the garrote as possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up into his ear, and Nefaris, I heard the shadows talking to you. I saw you being subservient. Why don't they want you going to the stairs?
Nice. So what do the other 3 players do? Because you're all close enough that you would see all of this. You may not hear what he said, but
and I would keep it low enough so they probably couldn't.
I think basically Edward Brock, your danger sense kind of triggers as it's actually not him. It's it's your Kappa friend that just appears behind him with the garrote. You're like, what the hell? As your symbiote kind of alerts you that something strange is about to happen. And
I want to ask you about this actually.
And I was going to say, and the Angel and Cypher, the 2 of you, hey, this sounds pretty great. And then suddenly he's at his throat, up in the air behind him.
But I did want to ask you.
Yeah.
So all the strategies are essentially reactive, correct?
There's yes.
So I've actually wanted to.
You need them to be proactive. To be good strategies are things that you can use proactively, because they will all be reactive in some way anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering if maybe in certain situations where it did come up that someone was not what they were saying and it kicked in, would it be something without any sort of reason or role that it could be used?
I think if I kind of like reverse engineered your question, would be that yes, sometimes I would feed you information that as if just because you have it.
Okay.
You'd be a better candidate than other people. Be like, hey, this guy's got this thing going on here. He shouldn't have to roll because he sees the world that way. He would notice these kinds of things.
Okay.
Yeah, so the hard part with that though is you then get the selective information that the guide wants to give you. But that's the same as anything. Anything reactive is going to be that way, right? I mean, anything passive. So, but if you can also actively use it to kind of be like, hey, I'm going to if I use this to kind of check this out, and then the guide might be like, oh yeah, well then let's see. Maybe your role tells me that is going on. So, okay. So, garrote, Cypher, what's your reaction?
Well, Esprit is my most trusted minion, so I probably feel like he knows what he's doing. I'm just going to continue observing for a moment.
All right. Velios.
Yes.
Same thing?
Yeah, it definitely takes me by surprise, but I think by now I kind of know that he has that kind of way about him where he can sense certain things just aren't right at certain times, and I think I'm going to let it be. I look very surprised, but I think I'm going to let him go.
Okay. And you whisper that into his ear, Esprit. So you whisper that into his ear. So in the way, I guess he kind of like slowly turns his head towards you, and his hands, of course, immediately go up towards the garrote. You know what I mean? To kind of like, it's your natural reaction is to kind of like get your hands behind him or do something. Yeah. And as he realizes how tight and thin, that it's a garrote wire kind of thing.
Yeah.
He'll then try to use something more than just his fingers to hold it, But he also realizes you don't immediately kill him with it, like you push tension, and he can back up, but you, I'm sure, are holding it firm to give him discomfort. And given that he's like a demon, I'm sure you give him a lot of discomfort, like here's a little bit.
Right.
So he still stands proud, and he can't really whisper to you, so he just has to say it out loud because it's the only way you're going to hear him. So they want to take the stair. Shit. As he basically looks and realizes that the cat's out of the bag. I don't know what they're doing to the stair, but they're convincing the stair to return. And it seems that in enough time, they will convince the stair to let them go up to Venivus. It doesn't matter if you beat this army here.
Yeah, I'm gonna squeeze a little bit more, and not say anything.
Okay. Yeah, he basically
kind of in that silent.
sure.
Like,
if there's anything more he could spit
what
out.
else you got? Yeah.
I guess what he would tell you is they promised me that they don't need a demon lord of the lower lands. They said I could take it. They just want to go to Venivus. All of them. And good riddance. They have my chains. All I have left are my hounds. And they keep them from me.
Why should we trust you?
Because I'm proud.
And that I'll say out loud.
Yeah. Well, everything else he said is okay. That's the only time everyone else hears you.
Right.
I'm proud, and these would be the only terms I would agree upon. And like any other demon warlord, I just want the lower barons at any cost.
What if we can get you your hounds?
And what do you want in return?
I want to know how to beat them. I want to know where they are.
I don't know if you can beat them, but if you want to give them the blow that makes it that they can no longer win, you want to go to the steps. And good news for you is the steps are on their way.
Cypher, Supreme Leader. I'll get at this point. I'll get less assertive, more obsequious, as it were. Supreme Leader, I suggest we take our army and our forces to the stairs. We should be able to punch a hole through the encampment if we hurry.
He said the stairs are coming here.
He looks over to you. They're not coming here, but they're coming close. They have to get under the city. We could practically see them from here, but at the same point, the Horde thought that if they stalled long enough, or if they defeated you long enough, you'd be powerless to do anything about it. Like Mentiak, the game now is just to be the strongest left.
Humbly, Leader, I think that you had a good idea in punching through to the stairs.
I have an idea. We should punch through the circle, closing it around them.
Supreme Leader, that's an excellent idea.
I'll turn to the lesser minions and tell them to ready up.
I'll let Nefaris go.
Wait. Why are we fighting? What was that you did earlier? It was bright. It was hot. It was from the sky.
Oh, yes, it's a wonderful invention of mine. I can't wait to get back home. I'll blow up this whole planet.
That's fantastic. Can it shoot a line?
I mean, lasers tend to go in lines, yes.
We march towards the edge.
Leader, I think you told me once how you could rake the planet with the laser.
Yes. Long for that.
This could be that day.
I can't blow up the planet while I'm still on it, you fool.
Blow it up, break it, scar it, burn it. Burn them.
You know what? That might be a good idea.
Esprit. Burn them.
Yes.
You said they're in a circle around the camp?
Yes.
Yes, leader.
A perfect circle, it's important.
Having done it before, I'll do the up and back down.
Yes.
And try to get a better picture of that.
Okay. So I think it's fitting that we make this a challenge.
Yes.
We're getting close to turning the tide of the assault. So I think that the challenge is obviously the Pestilent Horde, whether it's here or it's at the stair. So feel free as players to not only, deal with them right here or right now, but also if it behests you or the story in your head, to then take it to them at the stairs or frame your scenes in whichever place makes the best story for you and what you have in mind. So the challenge of the Pestilent Horde at this point has been revealed that there was really 3 steps to the plan here. That there's a 3-step plan here. One was to send you the guy to feed them information and to make the surrounding force actually very formidable by gaining your trust and then showing you victory, so that obviously that they would let him win gloriously. And then when you go, they would defeat you viciously. So plan 1 was foiled by basically the espionage, the stealth, the information, the stuff that you noticed, which leads us to plan 2, which was obviously the obstruction. Like, hey, maybe we'll beat them. If plan 1 works, then plan 2 actually has a good chance of defeating this new Demon Lord army. But if not, it should stall for plan 3, which if plan 1 and plan 2 don't work, plan 3 is they are turning the Great Stair in some fashion and making it work in their benefit, which ultimately would get them what they want anyway, is to the big city in the sky. So you have foiled their plot, but now you have to deal with what's left of it to see if you can still be victorious. So the challenge itself is the Pestilent Horde. The Horde, we're going to say Horde is one of the tags because there are many. The Great Stair is one of the tags because, one, it is also what you need out of the situation, and 2, it is, it can be a thorn if you want to go blow up everyone at the Horde. Well, you don't want to blow up the Great Stair, so it can also be a problem, as in it's in the way. And the third thing would probably be shadows. I mean, it's shadows or pestilent. Probably pestilent. And I just mean that in the way that, like, they have the acid and the goo and the, not necessarily the using the shadows against you. You have outsmarted most of the challenge itself already. So to continue to outsmart the challenge, I'm actually going to make that pretty weak. It's probably a 5 in this case. In the body of it, the fact is there's quite a bit of them, but you know where they are. And from what I gather, you have the tools necessary to fight them handily. So the body itself is a 6, nothing too crazy given that it's a war, right? And spirit, manipulating them is probably the hardest, given that they know what they want, and unless you're going to give it to them, which I don't think you can give them the city. But we're going to give that a 7. Okay, so we frame it at first because Cypher, you're the leader, and you were talking already about how it sounds like you might burn some of the Horde. So what did you want to do to defeat the Pestilent Horde?
Well, was Esprit able to tell me that they are indeed in a circle around, and like how far out, where they are precisely?
Yes. As precise as he can with his eyes and ears, and not a calculator and geometric tools and such. Yeah.
No, I trust my man. He gives me precise location.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's a pretty good circle given that they're just people on the ground too.
will smite them from above with my laser.
You know how cool that is, by the way? If you were like a hive mind, you all knew what each other's thinking, and you're like, we're trying to make a circle, guys, and everyone's like constantly readjusting because they know what everyone else is.
We know what this perfect circle looks like.
Yeah, it may actually be
But
damn
you're
good.
right,
Yeah.
back up a little bit.
Their precision will be their undoing.
All right.
What do you want to do, Cypher?
I'm gonna zap them as many as I can.
Yes.
So I'm gonna see if I can get the laser to go in a circle, tracing their pathing.
I really like in my head where you've taken me is like from the moon base laser itself is like, you know, are there people that work up there?
You've got to have minions.
I mean, is it automated or is it like there's like is it like the Death Star where there's like all of these people that are working up there?
It's probably mostly automated. I probably have a few people, but I feel like I'm still trying to gain that power, so I don't have this huge horde waiting for
Sure.
me on the moon. But there
They're
might
just
be like
janitors.
a couple people who may notice that the laser's doing weird things, and they might be like, "What is Cypher up to?"
Yeah. So okay.
This isn't the full force of the laser. She's not blowing up planets. What is?
I like the moon base view. That's got like all these sensors and scanners, and like the automated machinery is like, you know, like doing all of the math with supercomputers and like locating and seeing the aerial view that shows from like the sky, and it is basically making like a circle of dots, pinpointing the locations of what targets, and all of these like shadowy figures on the ground who have no idea, and it's like bink, 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 as all these little red dots are popping at them.
Target acquired.
Yeah, this. Given the time, the information, everything, like it's probably Reason, Moonbase.
I really love that moon base is a strategy.
That is a success on the laser, but a fail on the reason. But I'm intelligent. I think I can really pinpoint where they are and program this thing just right.
Yeah, to compensate for things.
Ah. Let's see. What else do I have?
Now, before you use anything else, just because you might as well hold it and use it after I make your reroll if I do. There is a horde, there's the stare, and the pestilent. Honestly, none of them will affect you, so continue on, please. If you were trying to hit all of the horde in both locations, then maybe horde would bother you, but not right now. You're just targeting the circle, so that sounds pretty fair.
I think I'll use Esprit's confidence in me to smite down these people. He believes that I can do it. I've got this.
I like that you're like, oh, dang it. My calculations didn't work. You look over to him and he just got a thumbs up.
Like, got this. Oh, and I did it. Double success.
All right. So
That reason is hard for me.
you deal 2 damage. This is obviously body. I mean, unless you tell me otherwise, but you're, you know, obviously dwindling the horde. So you deal 2 points to them. Would you like to add a tag that might help your fellow party members, or would you like to remove horde, stare, or pestilent?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's add immolated.
Immolated.
As they're starting to burn from the laser, it may also rally the enemies that we have. So, you know, they're back to fighting something that they're familiar with. There's all this fire, this grandness.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah.
In our hand-on-hand combat, but
So this is how we actually get crop circles. Is you know the moon base draws a circle of fire in the ground. Next, so Aaron, what are you doing in this situation?
Oh gosh.
How would you deal with defeating the pestilent horde? What would your part be to play?
I feel like everything's too far away for me to influence it.
Too far away as in you're not somewhere?
Well, you said they were about a half mile, correct?
Sure. But you could
They
say
are on fire.
you're there.
Well, they are on fire though.
It's true.
And seeing as I got my arms and symbiote arms, I'm not going to be around all that fire.
Yeah,
I've already dealt with that with Mintiak.
it's true. But you also, from overhearing everyone else, the true battle is at the stairs. Because whatever's going at the stairs needs to stop.
So I definitely could make my way that way.
All right. Would you take a force with you, or have any friends with you, or would you just go?
I think. This is actually tough because I could take our new acquired demon friend.
Of course
But
you
he
can.
also wants to make and take the city as well. But I do have an angel at my side.
Sir, I was planning on going anyway. So
That's what I like to hear.
let's do this shit.
I mean, I'm gonna go just not where
Yeah.
you guys are, because that's way too close for my
That's
liking.
crazy. I was
Make
gonna
way
grab some soldiers and
For the
just go.
stairs.
Okay, the two of you eventually see the massive stone, basically titan, giant, if you will, that when he kneels on one knee and raises his arm and lowers his head, his back forms the stairs up to Venivus. But at this time, he looks like a giant stone golem, and parts of his body are turning black as he has members of the Horde all over him. And you can almost hear what sounds like chanting from all of the voices that are speaking to him. They are all over him as if they were scaffolding and all over on his body. And he does not seem to be disturbed so much as he's just walking towards the Undercity, where he would, kneel to make the stairs. And occasionally he speaks words that are, "No, there is no demon lord of the lower lands yet. No, no one commands the stairs but the lower demon lord or the demon prince." And he's speaking as if, obviously, to someone. You don't know if it's his rebuttals to the massive amount, the choir of voices that are coming from the Horde all over him, but it's very slow and booming in comparison, from a large, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man sort of figure compared to the many
President
ants.
Stone self just is booming.
Yeah. And each foot is, boom, boom, boom.
Is there any conceivable way to physically pull these soldiers or like these hordelings off of him?
Sure. Get your hands on them and pull.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go with the old blinded control here, reason, and I'm gonna make some giant arms and hands and start trying to rip off his gross barnacles.
Sure, yeah. Would you target the mind, the body, or spirit in this? Is this something that is outsmarting their tactics? Is it
I almost was thinking
physically hurting them?
but I don't know if it could be body.
It really could be.
Stone and you're ripping them off and throwing them down. It probably hurts.
I guess since we do have the information that they can just be killed. So that's actually up to you. Do you think this flinging and throwing will do anything harmful?
Sure,
Or will
yeah.
it be breaking their mind?
Certainly, because
Controlling it.
you're probably removing them from the shadows that could, save them, and they're not actively trying to defend you. They're actively trying to persuade and conquer the stairs. So,
Okay. So we will go ahead and go reason, blade, control.
okay.
All right. We have a success, fail. I'm gonna
Okay.
go with stubborn.
Before you roll, let me tell you what I want to impose on you. So the horde itself and the stair. So basically, as you would pull them off and throw them, pulling them towards you, they would use their pestilent nature to basically drop ooze and acid and noxious gas in your direction. And if you make them splatter to the ground, they will erupt in it.
Okay.
So re-roll your success and see if that changes anything first. And then,
All right. So it's still successful.
okay. And then continue with your tags.
All right. And then the 10 for stubborn. It is a fail.
Okay. You can use one more if you'd like.
I am the horror. I am absolutely daunting, and they fear what I am doing.
Nice.
And it is still a fail.
Okay. So you got 1 and 1. You targeted the body, so you take 1 point of body, and so does the challenge. And Josh, what does Velios do? You've obviously seen Edward Brock get there, and with the legions around you, Brock, grows these giant arms and just starts lapping them as if they were like, crashing waves at the stone giant, and then peeling off sometimes many, small handfuls of these, the horde, basically, that seem to be littered all over him like ants or bees,
Bees?
Yeah.
I'm probably just gonna go. I was gonna just go in at the base of the statue or the stair and just basically just beat the hell out of them. But I was thinking about something. I don't know. This is probably where I went too specific on the aura, but I was thinking of some kind of aura of light. I don't know if it'll affect them at all, but seeing as their shadow.
Yeah, it sounds great to me. You could also use your divine hand.
Yeah, I guess that to do some kind of light.
Either way, it's going to be imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
imagine either one that you prefer. Because if you like the idea that's an aura,
Like, I mean, an aura of inspiration, a bright light would be very inspirational.
Very
and also damaging to the shadows.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. Double success.
Oh, good. So the pestilent won't bother you. The horde, you're using the anti-horde. The light's not going to hurt the giants. But God, that'd be awesome. But nah, we won't pick on you with that. I was like, it'd be funny if you blinded the giant, but no. Yeah. That's a little bit of a stretch. It's not meant to screw you over in that way. Okay. So 2 successes. This, you are using this light to damage them?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you tell me more about what happens?
Basically, I tried to kind of elevate myself a little off the ground, and basically holding the amulet, I basically exude a light and just beckon the shadow to be gone. And light springs from my grip.
Giant searchlight. You're just blasting.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking that too. It's almost like when he holds up his hand, I'm thinking this sort of epic thing, like Gandalf when he holds up his light staff in the arm.
Staff.
Yeah. Okay, Chris. This is going on both fronts, where basically with all of the information you fueled them, you saw through all of their lies and all of their plans, and guess what? That gave you and your crew the advantage. And so far, things are going very well. But what would you like to do?
So I'm thinking that
if you target the body, which has 1 point left, it will probably finish them. Just so you know, there is 5 mind and 7 spirit left.
Okay, so I was going to. I promised Nefaris that we'd get his hounds.
Yes.
back from them. So I'm going to do kind of what I did with the surveying, but I'm going to keep like throwing myself up so that I can stay up for a little bit longer, right? And I'm going to try to look at the horde surrounding the base
Mhm.
and see if I can pick out where his hounds are.
Sure. It's so cool. Like we'll say that you'll find it. Yeah. So
Okay.
meanwhile, while all this fighting's going on, the blinding light is surging, and the horrors are being ripped from the giant and thrown to the ground. And the giant is now trying to react, but he's so slow. He's like, you see, there is no demon lord yet. But it's like booming in the background above you as all this is going on, and you are blinking up and up and up and around, and you can see that there is a section of stones that looks very much like it's a part of where the golem rests, and the golem is heading in that direction, and you can see that at the base of where that is, that there are many of the pestilent horde that is surrounding these stone formations that are on the ground. And as you get closer to it, you find that there are many larger figures. Maybe these are older members of the horde or more of the core. Maybe there's a central group of them that maybe that's the genesis behind the hive mind, is that they all know, but maybe there's multiple, like omniscient ones. So maybe there's like groups of like information.
So would it be possible then at that point to blink above them and then fall at them while shooting at them with the void rifle?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do there.
Okay, so it's imagine blinking.
Okay. So I got 2 failures, but I would like to use the tide.
Nice. Okay. So, okay. So yeah, basically, as you launch yourself up in the air above it, you can see that the chains that were missing from Nefarious are being used to basically like chain down some of these, some of not the blight, but some of these, some of the horde, and the chains are tied around them like leashes, almost like hounds, and they're to this stone. There's something strange going on with that, but it does seem that they're being used for something. You imagine these strange chains must be the chains that he's missing, the chains to his hounds. So tell me what happens, because obviously you spent the tide, and how funny is that? Turn the tide of the assault. I use the tide.
Right. So I blink almost directly above him, and then as I fall, I shift the void rifle into the image mode that it's got. So it's single shots, and I'm just one at a time. This boom, and it knocks me back a little bit, up a little bit, and then boom, it knocks me back up a little bit,
Awesome.
and then boom, it knocks me back up a little bit, and then I'm getting closer and closer to the ground, and then at the very last one, I'll pull the trigger and then blink to like arrest my inertia.
Yeah.
So I kind of like reverberate backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Or reverberate like in reverse so that I fall up a bit and then like slow myself down that way. The act of throwing myself back the way that I was coming.
What does a void rifle do to a creature of shadow?
Well, so since they're made of shadow, it's still something. So
you tell me. Like I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm with you. So what do you think it does?
Void is just like the compressed edge of an event horizon.
Yeah. Like it throws something that lives in shadow in a permanent, endless sea of shadow. Yeah. But without light, it's nothing.
It brings them into the shot itself. It sucks them into the shot as the shot dissipates. So it's bringing like
we have vacuum.
So when it hits them, when it hits them, they kind of like warp around the void bolt.
Yeah.
So it just kind of sucks them up as it dissipates.
Okay. So that defeats the challenge. So as you blast these individuals, and actually you are blasting like the ancient, the ones that are generally hidden from the rest. You know, being the hive-minded there, they never have to put themselves out there. But for this dark ritual that they needed to complete, to actually corrupt the Great Stare, and force it to bend to their will, even beyond the pacts of, you know, demon rights and demon nobility. They had to be present, and they were using the chains that would tie them down, making them have to basically tie themselves so that the rest of the horde could go up to it. You basically destroyed them like sitting ducks. They were just waiting for slaughter. Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say about that? Because otherwise, that's their milestone.
Well, the hounds that are chained there, is that something that Nefarious can get back the way they are?
Yeah, for Nefarious, if he has the chains, he can summon his hounds. He actually can't summon them because they took his chains.
Okay, so then I'll the last thing I'll do is I'll collect the chains, and I'll blink back to where Nefarious, I'm assuming, is fighting with Velios and the mass of the hordes, and that calm stillness that happened after the ancient ones got apparated.
Yeah.
I'll appear before Nefarious and hold out his chains as promised.
Okay. Velios, anything that you'd like to add before we finish the scene for you? You have your glorious hand and your bright aura that is fading these beings out of thin air, as if turning them into dust. Like they are just evaporating under your brilliant light.
Man, I don't really have that. Pretty much sums up the awesomeness that I was picturing in my mind.
It is Velios. Edward Brock, is there anything else you wanted to add? As you are picking and throwing these shadows to the ground, and as they splat, they erupt fumes and gas. But as the brilliant light goes over, where they land, it sort of like eradicates all that is left of them. And there may be a little bit of a sizzle on the ground, but beyond that, he's washing away the dirt that you're throwing on the ground.
I can't say personally for my character,
Sure.
but something that I think would be retroactively would have been really cool. Thinking of Chris and Esprit, like kind of how they get the chains. I almost think there was this moment of just calm and stillness, and everything goes silent, and he just blinks in with them, and everything changes. He has the dogs, and he just rides through the horde with them, and just, everything about him is returned.
Well, that can definitely be happening.
But no, I can't think of much, because the whole Green Lantern thing was kind of cool, with just the extended arms.
I know, I did that, yeah.
Just, all the grabbing and throwing, and the evisceration of what little bit of their body was left, and then they're burned to nothing.
So, Cypher, somehow it still ends with you, even though the milestone's complete. The thing that's necessary here is that the stone statue, in short order, will about return to its place, and will eventually say, "It seems the horde was right after all, but not in the way that they thought." And the stone statue will kneel before you, and which of course probably just makes you even more happy.
Giggle on fire.
The character was gonna walk up and demand that they kneel to me, the demon lord.
And
I'm just gonna do it for me. It's all good.
yeah.
Everything just comes to me.
Yeah, it just comes to me. And when it kneels down, what is your name?
My name is Cypher, and I am the Demon Lord of the lower region.
Almost
Awesome.
more booming than the statue itself.
He has a megaphone.
3 foot tall, shoulders back, standing proud.
Okay, so
I'll 4-foot you.
we hit the milestone. So everyone gets to upgrade their character. At the first milestone, you got 2 upgrades. Now you only get 1 upgrade. Chris, this was yours. So you could raise anything if it's got a number value up to 8. Everyone else can raise anything with a number value up to 7. Except for belief. We'll do that next.
Right.
Which really, everyone's belief is going to go up by 2 because nothing happened negative.
Yeah.
I feel like it's all too good.
It kind of was one of those things where, like, I mean, I know Josh had some bad rolls, but other than that, like, it went really smooth, and you kind of de-teethed the challenge. Looking back on it, I'm like, we could have. I started to think, man, I should have made a challenge out of you dealing with Nefarious. But you know, that stuff always happens. It was kind of like after it happened, I was kind of like at that point, like, oh, well, if I throw in that challenge now and we have this next one we're moving to, I don't want the session to go like really long. But then I was like, in hindsight, you know.
I was totally expecting the blinking Nefarious away to be a challenge.
Yeah, now that one I held up on for the same reason, where I was like, okay, it took us a little time to get to like a little bit more of the inciting incident kind of stuff. And that was kind of my fault as it kind of happens. You know, you're trying to lure people towards it, and you're like, okay, I'm holding on to this thing that I'm planning on throwing out just in case you guys did something, you know, because he was going to come to the camp. But since you went out looking, and then we were starting to talk, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of getting us talking about meeting him or them. I was like, it could happen. And then I didn't want to rob you of the chance if you guys like attacked him or something, you know? So, you know, how that stuff goes, but it was cool.
I just figured that there was no way the Shadow expected him to get absconded like that.
Yeah. The plan was kind of that he was going to, like, you know, appear, right? He's going to show up in your place and like most other demons, pledge his allegiance and then try to infiltrate. But how it worked out, and because of your roles, you know, obviously you were the character that like was very likely to see through it, you know?
Yeah.
The backup too is that, like, if you wouldn't have done the Groat Wire, I was going to give Cypher a chance with her convincing liar, you know, that obviously she'd be she might see a liar, you know, a liar knows a liar kind of thing. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone do their upgrades?
Yep. I took Imagine up to 5.
Okay.
So.
Aaron?
Yeah, I went ahead and upped my Imagine as well.
Okay. Josh?
I did the same.
All right. Everyone feels more creative after this session. Jessica?
Right?
I imagine can't go any higher, so I upped my reason.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
All right. So everyone's belief goes up by 2. So everyone's got some pretty strong kick in belief right now. The next milestone is regain my grace in battle. So that's what we have to look forward to. Let's go ahead and do the vision rolls for that, and then we'll do the gratitude part, and we're done. Okay?
Okay, awesome.
So everyone roll your dice for your imagine and your reason.
Oh. All right, here we go.
Good thing I upped that reason.
There you go, yeah.
Oh man.
I got a double success as well.
Okay.
That's real lucky I upped my reason. Or my Imagine. Otherwise, that would have failed.
Oh yeah, no kidding, huh?
Yeah.
Who's got 0? Anybody? Nobody. Who's got 1?
I got 1.
Josh. So the next milestone is to regain my grace in battle. What's stopping us?
Well, probably just the Demon Prince.
The Demon Prince is not allowing you to regain your grace.
as far as I
Sounds like a demon thing to
yeah,
Yeah. What a dick.
jerk.
do.
How would your character go about regaining his grace anyway?
Well, the only way I see it is defeating him. So
Ooh, okay.
I'll be beating the crap out of him,
Defeating the demon prince.
or trying to at least.
That's Josh. Okay. Who had? Oh, sorry. He needs a tag.
Oh man.
Yes.
Josh is talking about the demon prince is making it so that he can't regain his grace in battle, and he thinks that defeating him is the best way to get his grace back anyway. What would be a tag that would help him in that situation?
I say purifier.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jessica, like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially because of how he came off last at the end there.
Aaron, you cool with purifier?
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
All right. Now, Josh, remember this replaces your previous temporary one.
Yeah.
Okay. And everyone else got 2 successes, right? So we'll start with Aaron. Aaron, what is stopping us from regaining my grace in battle? Which, the angel needs to regain his grace.
Yeah. I feel it's going to be what lies on the other side of the stairs.
Awesome. And you mean like the Great Stairs. So maybe Venivus or maybe even the backside of the stairs. Or okay.
Yeah, it may even be that we can't traverse them. We have no idea.
Stairs.
True that.
Okay. And how would your character go about helping him regain his grace anyway? Or in this case, maybe getting through whatever challenges the stairs might hold.
Yeah. I think my loyalty and the group and my glorious leader will be what I use to help us overcome that.
Your loyalty, glorious leader. Okay. I'm going to put the team. Which is funny because it'll be really interesting, too, to see how much of a team there is when Cypher, is like, okay, I'm in the city now. Peace, guys. Wait.
Get out. I'm gonna blow up this planet when I get back. So.
She still needs to get to her.
Oh, evil and vile overlord, where are you going?
No.
I can just see her, flipping the bird. Peace among worlds.
Yeah.
This place is gone.
Yeah, peace among worlds except for yours because I'm toasting it. You need a tag, Aaron, but you get to make it up for yourself because you got 2 successes. So what would help you use the team to deal with the other side of the stairs? Meanwhile, Jessica, what is stopping us from helping the angel regain his grace in battle?
What is stopping us?
It's worth mentioning, too, that he does have an angelic sort of partner. Her name's Iomedes. Just throwing that out there because, that's interesting stuff to play with, too. And by the way, so when I'm looking over left and right, it's because I have my guide sheet and it's on this clipboard, and I'm usually writing over here or writing over here.
We need these wings fixed.
What is stopping him?
I'm sorry, did you have was that an answer? Or?
No, I'm trying to think.
It's okay. Let's move on to Chris. Chris, what is stopping our fallen angel from regaining his grace in battle?
I think we need to find out why he lost his grace.
Why he lost grace.
This guy loves information,
Yeah, man.
man.
Gotta get them secrets.
Okay. And how would you go about helping him do that?
I think the best way would be to infiltrate the demon prince's court and to learn what he knows, because I don't see a demon prince ruling over this world not knowing why angels are getting tossed at him.
Excellent.
He may have some information there, so
give yourself a tag that would help you in that case.
I'm thinking no more secrets.
Awesome. That's such a great one. I love the idea of that one. Even that could be a game, you know. A dream. No more secrets. Jessica, did you come up with something, or you can always, second someone else's thing?
Yeah, I kind of like where Chris was going with the. It's something to do with why he lost his grace in the first place.
All right. How would your character help with that situation? If she helped.
If she decides.
Hypothetically,
This is hypothetically, yeah.
if you would like to help me, what are we looking at here?
She would probably make life miserable for the person who did this to you.
Ooh.
Nice.
Enjoy that.
Probably involving lasers.
Probably with some kind of laser.
All right. So last but not least, two things, right? So titles. Did anybody have a tag that they used pretty much exclusively?
Yeah, I did.
And that would be?
That would definitely be, well, it was either conniving or the devotee of espionage.
Definitely espionage.
I feel like it was-
Yeah.
Okay. Chris. Devotee. Aaron, I don't think you had many roles, so you might not have that case.
It was obviously control, but it wasn't anything super unique when coming to that. So I don't feel like there was anything taggable.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't really use a whole lot of tags.
Yeah.
Most of your roles you kind of nailed.
And Josh. Poor Josh. Josh used a lot of tags. They just
I
didn't
used
help.
A lot of different ones too. I don't think I used any of them twice or anything.
I thought you used Iomedes a couple times,
Uh,
or at least you used the
I used
amulet.
Drive once. I did use the amulet in the function of the.
So that may have been where I took that from.
Even though I only used it once, I really loved that myth tag.
Yeah. Well,
Oh no, I meant to say, I want to vote that for him permanently.
myth. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you easily can. So basically, it was funny because this is the meeting where I was trying to initiate that, but I was actually.
I'm sorry.
It can be no, not that you're stepping my toes. I didn't because it was hard.
Yeah.
Because there were times where I'm like, I was thinking about you a lot because obviously there's a lot of less spotlight on you at this meeting, and I was like, okay, but it was also like, what does he not have that I'm seeing here that he kind of needs? But like these couple of the tags you have are pretty broad. So with that in mind, it was kind of hard to throw another tag on you.
Yeah.
But I guess honestly, all that means is that I really should spit it out, and then and then if I spit it out, and then you guys go, "Oh, he's already got devotee or something," then it's like, "Oh, you're right,"
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, you said myth, so
If I can start that vote, I'd like
of course
to.
you can.
So,
So if we were all in person, we'd all thumbs up or thumbs down. But
yeah.
all you do is you say, "I think so and so is," because hopefully that happens on accident sometimes, and then
Yeah.
everyone looks at each other and goes, "Yeah, I think so," or "I don't think so." So, Aaron, do you think that did his character reflect like a mythical character?
Yeah, I mean, from the amulet, the shining devotion, his love for his comrade, like just being a leader in the battle, but almost too good. Like you couldn't believe it if someone told you.
You know what I like there is that you two sold me on it, because if you would have asked me first, I would have been like, the roles didn't work.
Yeah.
In the early part. So like in my head, I'm like looking at that more right now. But when you spelled that out and reminded me, like we're always talking about how weird and out of place he is, Yeah, it really fits very well. And I was thinking kind of short-sighted. Jessica, do you agree, or do you? Yeah.
I just think he fills that role very nicely. So
All right, so Sir Josh, you have myth on your sheet. You can put it in the left column of your tags, so it's permanent with the other ones.
Fantastic.
Permanent unless we remove it. But
Yeah.
Right.
we're left. You're not a myth anymore. You're a has-been.
I'm just normal.
I'm a real boy. Yeah. Okay. Jessica, did you have any tags that stood out that you used consistently, or?
I think I used both intelligent and the tag on my lasers of perceived authority.
Yeah, you're pretty even kills her. Yeah,
I
just
really
remember
like perceived
intelligent.
authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. But yeah, and it was that your extra? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think those were the two tags that I used.
Yeah, no, perceived authority. That was your initial tag. That's yours. You made that, right?
Yeah, it's on
Okay.
the lasers, which is my true love.
Okay, just making sure it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a vote. Okay, and did we miss anybody? Chris, we mentioned your devotee. It looks like that's the only one we're going to hold as a tag, as a title. So
Okay.
next time,
Can
I
I just change it
you.
to devoted to espionage?
Sure, yeah, that's
Because
pretty.
devotee of espionage, it kind of doesn't roll.
No problem. Yeah. Last but not least, gratitude, guys. So who can tell me which other player gave them an awesome moment in this game session?
I mean, Josh holding out his amulet and radiating light and just walking through the horde, the pestilence horde. That was that imagery there of the angelic being holding up the light and literally staving off evil darkness.
Yeah.
Don't make me blush.
I like that a lot.
You're making me look. And what else? Aaron, Josh, Jessica.
I really liked the moment when Aaron realized that, my character has this huge laser and was telling, like, hey, like, why do you use this for the fight? Because I also liked, not only did he realize and put two and two together, but it gave me the chance to play that, I'm disillusioned, I'm bad at being able. He's like, you've got a laser. And I'm like, yeah, of course. He was like, no, like, you've got a laser.
Use
Yeah,
it.
I mean, he doesn't have lasers. What do you use the laser.
I'm in the eviling business. Of course I have a laser. Where's yours?
So I liked that he put two and two together, and then it allowed for a fun little role play moment between our two characters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to Jess for disintegrating the tree and turning the tide of my crappy inspiration. So
Yeah, it kind
that
of
was
it overshadowed you a bit.
yeah. No, it was needed, and she made it look easy. So it definitely worked out for the best.
I'm only an angel, but that was cool.
Yeah. Hey man, I was in awe. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
If God was real, he'd have a laser
I know,
too.
right? That's what I was saying. Dude, that was like, I've seen stuff like that. That's like God power, man. That's like.
Well, one of my tags that I haven't used yet is that the path to heaven is paved with bad intentions.
Yes. And Aaron, last but not least.
100%. Ever since it happened, I've wanted to actually put that into words. Josh did it. Thinking of just being in a world where stuff just burns to death and dies. There's demons, whatever. And someone just comes up and is like, let me rip this out of my pocket. Jiggle, jiggle, ... Bam. And then looks up, just unamused, not surprised, just death laser, burns hole in ground. Woohoo!
I could just
What?
see the faces of like my face at least of my character just like sees that he's just like standing there like eyes wide like, and all the Ashmen around me are just like, in awe, like silence, and then they're like, ah, like
The fire
Just for the
returns.
yeah. Yeah.
So, I didn't say this one at first because I thought the odds were higher that other people would. May I say another?
Go for it. Yeah.
I thought Chris's like jump up and like shot firing down and then using that to like keep
The
propelling him
momentum.
up.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And also the tide, turning the tide is
I
pretty fantastic.
love that Chris said it though.
Yeah.
Like Chris would
Yeah.
be the wordsmith. I'm gonna use the
Yeah.
tide to turn the tide.
I just thought that moment was fantastic. I didn't want to say it so early though because I felt like it was such a fantastic moment. I was like, man, surely someone's gonna jump.
I was- I was kind of hoping I'd fail that first roll so that I could do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Chris already knows, but so he spent 2 belief, and then we hit the milestone, he regained it. So he's probably still at 6 then.
Yeah, he's at
Yeah.
6.
Yep.
Okay. Well, guys, it was great, guys and girl, and I'll see you next Thursday. Anybody have any
Excellent.
conflicts we know of, or
Oh, actually, yeah, Thursday, I do. I was gonna say something earlier. But
it's okay. I'm gonna stop the broadcast. We can talk a minute about it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. See you later. Say bye.
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 And